very blessed to be in this spot, to be able to have, relationships with folks who are really moving and shaking in this industry, and that they are willing to come and join us on the Transportation and Logistics Clubhouse to share their insights and, just let us know more about what they have going on, with the goal of either sharing their message and or inspiring folks, to emulate what they're doing. So I want to say for the past, 10 months now, we've been having amazing guests, like every single week, every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm just very blessed, very grateful, and I'm excited to have tonight's discussion. My name is Korey Myers, the owner of Atlanta Dispatch, LLC. And I had the pleasure of meeting our guest tonight at the She Trucking Expo in Chattanooga, Tennessee, not too long ago, probably about a month ago now. And I've referenced that event several times, and it's only because it was so impactful. It had so many different power players that were there, willing to teach other folks how to get to, their next level of business. So without further ado, I did have the pleasure of meeting this brother, and I just want to say, Korey, welcome to the stage. If you could, sir, can you please introduce yourself to the folks and let them know who you are?
Definitely, man. And I appreciate you inviting me, and two, to hop on your point, the She's Trucking event was a place to be. I'm actually looking forward to it next year because I'm pretty sure she's going to do it bigger than better. But to the audience, my name is Korey Neal. I'm the president of the K.Neal Truck and Bus Center. We are a full-service commercial truck and school bus dealership located in the Washington metropolitan area. We have over 4 locations where we sell and service and lease commercial vehicles. We sell the International brand. That's our major brand. We also have the Isuzu brand as well as the Hino and Cummins brand. We do just over $100 million in business every year, and we have done over $1 billion in sales since our business came into inception in 2005. We are 1 out of 2 minority-owned commercial truck dealerships in the country. That is right. So that means that there are only 2 out of 2,100 dealerships across the country on the heavy-duty commercial truck side. So I take great pride in that. That's kind of us in a nutshell, man. Very excited to be here tonight.
Oh, thank you very much, brother. And the fact is, guys, I wanted to just bring emphasis to the fact that he said that there are only 2 minority-owned truck dealerships in the nation. Is that correct? You said 2, correct?
Two, man. 1, 2. The other one he's a great family mentor of mine too. So I, at this point, you can call us one together because it's that close to family.
Yes, sir. I love to hear that. So look, let's just talk about how did you get started in this industry? In truck sales and school bus sales and just commercial equipment sales.
Absolutely. So I'm second generation in this business. So our business was actually purchased in 2005. My dad used to be a COO of a large grocery chain called Giant Food. If anybody here is familiar with the DMV area, you'll be very familiar with Giant. Left Giant in 2005, and we started purchasing dealerships. We went from then. Back then, we were doing about $30 million in business, and thus since then, we've grown to who we are today. I started in the business in 2012. I was very fortunate. I went to Eastern Michigan University, played football there, had a very short stint in the NFL. For me, NFL stood for not for long. Then after that, I hopped out of that and hopped right into the family business. Started working my way up from the bottom. I did every single job inside the organization you can think of over a 5-year process. And then in 2018, I took over dealer operations right after completing my master's work at American University.
Okay. So you've been in the trenches, not only on the football field, but in the business as well. But let's talk about a little bit about that football experience, if you don't mind. I kind of saw that at one point you were a basketball player, trained to be a basketball player. How did you end up playing football?
It's actually a really funny story. I didn't start playing football until my junior year in high school. I'm about 6'3", 225 pounds now, so I've always been a larger guy. But my dad is about 6'10", so I actually went to high school on a basketball scholarship. call it be. I have not grown an inch since like the sixth grade. So I was just this very massive sixth grader walking around, and everybody thought I was going to be a big man. But as you guys all know, there are no 6'3", centers and forwards in the NBA. So,
No, sir.
a buddy of mine, a guy who's best friend, actually the best man at my wedding, he actually said, "Hey, dude, you should just try playing football." And within probably 3 weeks, three games, I had my first offer from Eastern Michigan University, and not even really understanding, the scope of it. Just excited to go D1. I committed to Eastern, and by the time I was all said and done, I actually had offers from much larger schools, the Syracuse, the NC States of the world. But I think that started my journey of being committed. I talked to my dad about, hey, I'm gonna decommit here and I'm gonna go there. And he was just like, no, son, you made your commitment to Eastern, and we followed up on our commitment. And I think that was really that spark of my commitment that I carry with me every day.
Oh, yes, sir. It sounds like your dad is a very influential person in your life. Would you like to speak on that in any capacity?
Yeah, I'm fortunate. I got to tell you, not only my dad, but also my mother are two incredible role models that were in my life. And outside of that, I think I've had a great, extended network of mentor and coaches, people that have really, heeded knowledge in me from their past and poured in me. My mother, doesn't get nearly the credit she deserves, but, when she talks about sacrificing humility, those two things I learned from my mother without a doubt. When it comes into the leadership style, command, leadership operations, and business development, my dad was integral in that. My dad went for, essentially running a $6 billion company in the early 1990s. And that was unheard of for people that look like us. I really just have had this incredible journey. And it just makes me, yearn for the opportunity to come back and pull more people up as I continue on my journey forward.
Yes, sir. I love to hear that. And, for the folks who haven't had the opportunity to actually speak to Korey personally, I would say that his mother rubbed off on him. Definitely one of the most humble brothers I've ever met. You would not think that, he is operating a business at the caliber and, level that he is. But I'm just saying, brother, it's very nice to meet somebody doing the things that you're doing and knowing that you are as humble as you are. And, I just wanted to make sure that moms knew that one. Okay.
No, that's important, man. Mom's is number one, always will be. Mom's took me everywhere I need to go. And she put that foundation in me, and I'm appreciative of her for that.
Yes, sir. So, all right. So you're at Eastern Michigan, you're on the football team, and you become captain, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I go to Eastern, and I'm really fortunate in one way and unfortunate in another. Since I went to Eastern, I was a pretty good player there, and I actually ended up starting, the majority of my tenure at Eastern. But along that way, I also lost 18 games in a row. So that means that we lost a whole season. We had a winless season, and we lost 6 games of that upcoming year in a row. So I actually hold the second longest losing streak in NCAA history. With the 18-game losing streak. So, Eastern was a hell of an experience, coming from the Washington metropolitan area, graduating high school in 2008, going to the middle of Detroit before Detroit has become the area it has now. It was a culture shock from a standpoint of, Washington, D.C. to Detroit. It was a temperature shock going from the DMV to Detroit. And at the end of the day, I think I lost more games there than I did my whole life. So a lot of shocks there, but I can tell you, I think, going back to it, that stuff builds character. Going out, practicing every single day and just learning that blue collar mentality that you get in the Midwest. And at the end of the day, even though it was not as successful from a win-loss perspective during my tenure at Eastern, I can tell you that I still, had every opportunity to be in NFL. And, I'm really thankful. And I'm actually back in the Detroit area probably 3 to 4 times a year because the impact and influence that place had on me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. So you're the president of a 9-figure business. Okay.
Yep.
And to do that says that you have to be operating on, just next level type of status. Like what are some daily duties that you have to do? And, when you're talking about this, I want you to touch on what's the power of a good routine, like all those things.
No, definitely. My day starts every day right around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, every single day, regardless, Monday through Friday. And at 3:30, 4 o'clock, the time I get out of bed, and I have about 10 minutes of pure silence. I just sit still on the edge of my bed. I've been doing that ever since I was a kid. My grandmother called it pondering. And that 5 or 10 minutes I just sit on the edge of my bed, it's just my alone time. Because as soon as I get out of that bed, I go downstairs, I work out. I always take care of my body. That's the first thing I do every single day. Because if I'm not taking care of my mind and my body and my spirit, I'm not going to be anything for my people. And I'm typically out the door by 5:30 and in the office right around 6. And from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock is really my time. It's my time to, think. It's my time to be visionary. It's my time to plan. It's my time to do those type of things, build relationships, do anything that I need to do. But then by the time 8 o'clock comes, man, it is a run. You're literally in meetings all day, every day. You're answering questions. You're putting out fires. You're helping solve problems. You're setting agendas. You're being the face of an organization. And it's really hard because naturally I'm a hands-on leader. And that's one of the things that as you grow and as you scale, your ability to be hands-on will become harder and harder. I can't control everything. I cannot watch everything. So the majority of my day is spent inspiring and leading my teams to make the vision that I have come to reality. And at the end of the day, as a leader, I think that is what you're trying to do. You're trying to take your vision, you're trying to give it to your team and your people and have them be inspired by who you are. And it doesn't matter if you're running a 9-figure business or a 10-figure business. Once you get there, you understand that I can't get it done by myself. I got to inspire people to believe in me and believe in what I want and believe in the direction that I want to take the organization. So that's, after 8 o'clock, man, that is that. I take a real lunch at noon. If I don't get a bite to eat around noon, I get a little cranky. I'm not going to lie, but
I feel you,
after
brother.
that, after that, same thing in the evening. I'm typically out of the office by 5 or 6. It just depends on the workload for the day. So I put in a solid 12 every day, get home. And then in the evening, I typically either do some type of, Peloton or some type of stretching or some type of yoga. Depresses me a little bit after coming out of work. After that, I'm very fortunate. I got a wife and I got a little man who's 2 years old. And then I got another one on the way. So literally, I keep that structure between, call it 3:30, 4 a.m. to probably around like 7 p.m. Then after that, it's not my time anymore. I become dad at that point.
Yes, sir, man. Hey, that's a full day. Shoot.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people in America are waking up at 3:30 to 4 o'clock on a regular. If their alarm didn't accidentally go off or, that notification didn't come in to accidentally wake them up. I don't think there are many people who are planning to start their day at that hour. And I think that just kind of goes back to that whole concept of modeling your life after what successful people are doing. I know the one thing that I have noticed that a lot of affluent, rich, wealthy folks are doing, they're definitely taking care of their body every single day. They're working out, and most of the time it's going to be in the morning to start their day. And you hit it on the head. If your spirit ain't right, like your mind ain't right, what are you really doing? Where are you going for that day? And I had to figure that out myself. I'm recently, like, it sounds like you've put this routine together for yourself for quite some time. I'm just getting on the train, brother. I can't even lie. And, I just started waking up pretty early. It's not as early as you, about 5 a.m. 5 a.m., get my spiritual, with my reading, my meditation, and then I start reading for, industry, what's going on and all those type of things, so that when I'm starting my day, I have something to look forward to, and work towards. But before, I was just floating like a lot of other people, man. So thank you for sharing that.
It's real. And one thing I would even put on that, that schedule, that discipline, that's my competitive advantage. So I think that as a person, and as any person, I think that we all have that thing that is our competitive advantage, that thing that at the end of the day, I'm better than that person that's across from me. I'm better than that businessman. I'm better than that businesswoman. And that's my commitment, right? That's my commitment to my schedule, because at the end of the day, even if I lose a deal, because you don't win every day. I'm able to sit there and say, I know I'm more committed. I know that I was more disciplined than that person every single day. And I know that, whether I win the day or lose tomorrow, I'm waking up tomorrow. And that's my, and that's my swagger. It's just that I'm putting the time in, and nobody's going to outwork me. And that's just kind of how I roll with it.
Man, discipline is my competitive advantage. I think that's a quotable right there, y'all. So go ahead and quote that bad boy, because that's real. That's real, and I can see that in your life specifically, because when I saw you at the event at the Sheet Trucking Expo, I walked up to you, said, "Hey, Korey, my name is Jory." We shook hands, and I looked at you. I mean, you could look at folks and be like, "Oh, this brother work out." Bruh, I would have never imagined that you were 300 pounds, 8 years before that. Like, because, you look like a regular slim guy. You know what I mean? So that discipline, that has to be there.
Yeah, when I got done playing football, I was about 330 pounds. And unfortunately, but also fortunately, it took me 5-6 years to lose, 110 pounds. And I'm thankful for that journey. There was no quick diets. It was 10 pounds here, 20 pounds there, 5 pounds there. And it was that monotonous, relentlessness, to the craft. I'm fortunate that my body, is responding the way it does now. I'm able to have a little bit more cheat in my diet, but, counting calories, running miles, it's just that discipline that I kind of just carry in my back pocket.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man, discipline to get you far. Discipline to get you far. And I guess, let me just ask you this question. You're running a non-figure business, and I keep saying that just because, man, that's kind of low key unheard of. Most people are not running a non-figure business. They're not seeing $100 million in sales or more every single year. They're blessed to get 250,000. You know what I mean? They're blessed to pay the bills, but it's like you guys are operating at a different level. And the folks that are listening, they probably are listening to you like, oh yeah, that brother's sharp. But they don't know you're 30 years old. Like, how does a 30-year-old go through, what's happening in your life, in your world, so that you're prepared to successfully run, this business? Like, I know you got the master's degree, you know what I mean? Yeah. Was it the master's degree that put you in this spot?
No, man. I tell people this all the time. My preparation for where I'm at today, it started when I was a kid. And I think that my parents were intentional. They were intentional on how they raised me. They were intentional with the conversation they put me in. They were intentional about the environments they put me in. They made sure I went to a school that was really diverse so that I could understand how to work in different rooms. They made sure they put me in situations where I was with people that had and people that didn't have, so that I could adapt and be able to work with both of those type of people, so that I could communicate. Because at the end of the day, if you can't communicate your vision, you can't get anything done. If I say that enough times tonight, I remember, when I was in a car when I was 6 or 7 years old with my dad, and, he would make sure that's this back when they had that old speaker bag in the back of the car. That was this big old briefcase, and he'd be on the phone in his car, and he would get off a call and he would ask me, tell me what I was talking about. And he would be, and literally that's the type of training that I had when I was a kid. So, when people ask, hey, Korey, man, you've been the president of of $100 million business for, 3 years. You started this when you were 28. How is that? I said, man, I've been getting trained for this my whole life. And those are the same things that I install my son today. I'm not sitting here pressing my son that he has to be an athlete or anything like that, but I'm teaching my son awareness, right? I'm teaching my son to be alert when he goes in a room. I'm teaching my son, how to get back and forth from home when we're taking a walk together. He's 2 years old, but I'm trying to install that in him now, because I know that's what I had. And I think, that's why I'm able to be successful today at 30 years old.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, to intentional parenting, you just got to cheers to it, because you're setting your kids up for a lifetime of success when you're able to mold them in that capacity. So, yeah, I completely understand. I respect it. Some of those conversations you speak of, my big brother's in the audience. I definitely remember him, just randomly giving me those quizzes and making me see that there's something else at play. You just gotta be aware, and once you become aware, you can use those. You can use those instincts to your advantage. So no, definitely.
No.
Yes, sir.
And it's not. I mean, and let's be realistic. A lot of people in our community don't have a parent structure like I did, right? Let's just be real with it. But that doesn't mean that there isn't somebody in your circle that can inspire you. As impactful as my parents are still on me today. I've got coaches, from athletics that literally, taught me how to be tough. Right. I was just, kind of, especially in basketball, I was just kind of, a soft kid. No, they take me in the post. They found me. Right. They said, there were other men in my life other than my father that taught me how to be a man. They taught me a ton of stuff. There were other women in my life that taught me things, that other than my mother. So at the end of the day, it's about seeking that knowledge. And if you're not a continuous learner, you're not just seeking it. I don't care if you've got, the late great, an amazing man was Colin Powell, after what happened. I'm still shook by that. You can have him as a father and you can still not get it if you're not intentional about learning.
Yes, sir. I completely agree. And, the late great Colin Powell. Yeah, definitely, brother. Definitely.
That guy got a presence on him. I had the opportunity to meet Colin Powell, man. You want to talk about a presence? That guy got a presence on him, dude.
Did he?
Hey, man, I tell you, I've met the last 3 sitting presidents other than Trump. I didn't meet him, and I no need to meet him. But out of all the men, I tell you, meeting Colin Powell, you are just like, oh man, this guy right here is that dude.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. I've never met the brother, but I can basically feel what you mean. Like you can feel the energy, like just kind of like just like exuding from somebody. So yeah, that's awesome, man.
Special.
Yes, sir. Okay. So, not to transition away from that brother because he definitely deserves all the flowers that anybody ever wants to give. I wanted to just go ahead and like talk more about, your history, serving the community and all that kind of good stuff. Like you are a captain, you are the captain of your football team, you're a president of a non-figure business. And, I'm pretty sure there are so many other things that somebody can really say that aren't listed, but I would say that's a good track record of leadership. You know what I mean? And now you're a father, you're telling us about how you're being intentional. That's also leadership. And you're a very active member of your community. What are some of those ways that you feel as though you are kind of showing the folks in your community what leadership looks like and how to become a leader?
I think probably the greatest example is the education space. I believe that the education and the education of kids and the generation behind us is the most impactful impact that I can have on people. Creating a legacy of generational wealth, but not only generational wealth, but generational education for kids is super impactful. Because at the end of the day, education is the gap. A lot of people talk about the wealth gap. I really think the education gap unlocks the opportunity for the wealth gap to close. Personally, 2 of my biggest places that I spend time is one, the school system. I'm actually a board of trustee members for our local school system here. So, that's near and dear to my heart. And then 2, I'm also a board of trustee members for American University. American University is a top 100 university, right here in the Washington metropolitan area. And I was just appointed to be a board trustee there. And with those positions, I had that opportunity to be in the room, and not only be in the room, but be at the table and be able to tell the story of our community, that minority community that has been neglected for so long, be able to tell the story of, what it feels like to be an African American man, be able to tell that story. Because I can tell you, it doesn't matter, if I run a 9-figure business or a 10-figure business. It doesn't matter if I got $1 million in my wallet or none. If I put a hoodie on and sweats, I'm still a 6'3", 225-pound black man walking down the street. And that's something real that I think that people need to understand and know. So, doing that and making sure that when I have that time and that airspace in rooms, that I'm bringing up the community, because at the end of the day, I work so hard, to make sure that the generation behind me has it better than I have it.
Yes, sir. I think that's low key every black man's responsibility. Is to recognize where he is first, because you got to be aware, and then recognize where those people closest to him are, because you got to be aware of that too. And then the community, and if at any of those points you feel as though you can better somebody, it's your obligation. You know what I mean? Like, because who doesn't? We know what the plight the black man, the black people have had. So if you're not using your space to make it easier for somebody else that has had a tough time, it's probably it's just your duty. I'm not going to condemn anybody, but I just feel as though that's your duty to do that. So thank you for sharing that.
No, it really is. And just to kind of add to that point really fast, I was having this conversation today. You don't hear about 3 generational black-owned businesses. And the reason why you don't is because our parents' generation, our parents that are anywhere from 60 to 75 years old, they were the first generation that could even have businesses and could even amass wealth. My grandmother was born in 1909. In 1909, my grandmother couldn't grow up and have a real successful career. She couldn't. She lived below the Mason-Dixon line. So, our generation that, call it 20 to 40, the baton is really in our hand to do a lot with it, because at the end of the day, at least we have the platform, right? We have the opportunity. We have mediums like Clubhouse. We have medium like Instagram. Like, I'm just so cognizant of what life was 100 years ago. It was just so drastically different from that. So what it's my duty and my obligation to make sure 100 years later than today, my grandson's opportunity is completely different than my opportunity.
Yes, sir. And I guess that kind of goes back to that whole point of education closing the wealth gap. I definitely believe that. My wife recently asked me, when do I feel like, we're really going to be able to really close in on that gap? I kind of, I'm not an economics person and I don't study social history, but throughout, look, I had to preface it with that. But I said in 40 years, I think that we're going to probably experience the biggest closing of that gap, like a not a bell curve, but the opposite, where you see how it's taken a very long time for something to happen, but then it's just like this very, very sharp spike. I feel like we're going to, about 50 years, 40 to 50 years, that's when that spike is going to really start heading northward. So that's just like my humble projection, everybody. Don't quote me, but maybe quote me in 40 years. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with
Take the quote. Take the quote, man. Take the quote.
All right, cool. Put me on record, y'all. Put me on record. All right, so look, let's shift more towards your business. What would you feel like was what would you say was the biggest growing pain of scaling your company? From maybe, were you there when it was only one dealership?
Yeah. So, definitely the hardest part of scaling is capital. And the reason, when you talk about these businesses of this size, and that a lot of these businesses are generational, right? Just as the business I am, I'm in a generational business. It's very hard. There's not a lot of entry points into the business, and entry into the business is very expensive. So, that make sure that you have enough capital to get into this business, it's incredibly high. And I think that's any business today, whether you're just somebody's out who's trying to purchase their first vehicle or first truck. I mean, hell, you used to be able to buy a car. You had an entry level car under $10,000. There are no new cars at an entry level of $10,000 anymore. Right. Trucks, cars, just the price of goods and services are just so expensive these days. So the hardest part, I think, is capital. And then I think that, unfortunately, if you have the capital, it's how much you're paying for money. Right. What is your interest rate? Right. So a lot of times you can go out, you can borrow, $250, $300, $500, $1 million. But if you're paying 15% on that, you're never going to get up from under that. Right. So the capital gap and your access to capital is such a hard thing. And, that's why I tell everybody who comes in our dealership, if you're not financially healthy before you come into the truck industry, you shouldn't come in the truck industry. I believe that you should be financially healthy before you come into the truck industry to be able to thrive in the truck industry, because this is not a small dollar industry. Repairs, maintenance, people, insurance, it is an expensive item industry. And if you do it on a shoestring budget, you will not last.
You know, one of those things that I always say is it's definitely one of those games that if you can't afford to play, you shouldn't play because it'll come back. It'll come back. It will come back for you, especially with that insurance. You know what I mean? So you just gotta be able to be here ready to play and in a position to play versus, bootstrapping it. And I don't want folks to, think that you can't make it, but it's a very, you just be precautious. just be precautious is all I'm going to really say about that one.
I mean, and like I said, at the end of the day, I hope that I'm inspiring somebody that says I'm going to make it. And when they're talking about their success story, they're going to be like, man, I remember I was listening to this Clubhouse. This guy said I couldn't make it and I made it. I hope I do something like that tonight.
Yes, sir. I think you are because, I mean, brother, you're already breaking so many stereotypes. Like, one, you are operating a company that is literally two out of 2,100. Is that what it is? Minority owned truck dealerships.
2 out of 2,100, man. Sad. It's a sad statistic, but it's the truth.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's very sad. I mean, because how many times are people even thinking about that? It's not something that I've ever thought about, not a single time until I heard your story, brother.
Yeah. We actually, in 2020, we were actually 35th largest minority-owned company in Black enterprise. And as proud as I am of that, it is really puts into perspective how much more growing I have to do because there should be 250, 300 more companies my size that look like us. So I got to grow to be able to make sure that I can pull other people up.
Yes, sir. Okay, so I'm happy that you mentioned that. So you said you were recognized as the 35th largest minority-owned business by Black enterprise, and that was in 2019, which means 2018, you guys must have had some record numbers. Like, what happened in 2018 that, enabled your company to have that?
Sometimes it's timing, right? At the end of the day, we're in a good, my ability to sell and service to the customer is a huge deal. But every single year we've been ranked in the top 50 for probably the past, call it 5 or 10 years, probably been in that top 50 number. I'm that type of person that, if I get a taste of something, I want it all. And at the end of the day, it's just my goal to continue to grow this business. And that's just not just grow it irresponsible, but smart growth, profitable growth and smart growth. Because you can grow a business all the time, but making sure that you have, right profit margin, right expense lines, revenue, it's an attractive thing, but you got to be making money at what you're doing. And ultimately, you got to be having fun at what you're doing. I really believe in that. And people say, how can you have fun? Well, I mean, if you're not having fun, it's not going to work. When you talk about, coming in and giving 12 hours a day, if you're not finding some joy out of that and passion out of it, you're going to burn out. When I burn out, it just becomes, my discipline just kicks in. So it's just, it's a game all by myself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, I completely hear where you're coming from. I'm still working on that too, because I'm in the spot where I'm growing the business. My company it got established this year. So, it's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be built. So that whole facing burnout and then being able to fall back on your discipline, I'm having a very, very nice relationship growing my relationship with. I'm having a nice time growing my relationship with discipline. Let's just say it like that.
I like that.
Yes, sir. You got to look at it in a positive. It is a relationship. I mean, you can't just, you got to start somewhere, and it's kind of like, building that relationship with trust and, with yourself. That's what it is. So, yeah, so I'm excited about that. So thank you for sharing. And you also, I think you mentioned sometime before about, entering the pandemic, and you were in a better spot because 2019 was a really good year for you too. Probably your second best year your company's ever done, but it wasn't 2018, but it kind of helped you, ease into the pandemic. What was that like? What was entering the pandemic like for you guys?
One of the things is we had just built out a new $15 million building. So in August of 2019, we moved into a new 45,000 square feet, state of the art, truck dealership. So we had literally just doubled down. Our rent had just went up and everything. And then as you roll into that March of 2020, and literally when I say that we moved into a new building, I mean, business was booming. We had lines out the door. It was a sight to see.
Hey.
Then you roll into that March. I remember that it was March 8th in Prince George. March 18th. They shut everything down. Everything, schools, restaurants, everything. And at that point, as a leader, that's probably the toughest decision. Those are some of the toughest decisions I've probably ever had to make. Because at the end of the day, once we really realized the scope of what was going on, that this wasn't a 10-day thing, this wasn't a 45-day thing, we were going to be in this thing for a while. As much compassion as you have for your employees and everything, you got to make decisions because at the end of the day, the overall, success of the company is yours. And it's not mine because I'm the president, but it's mine because it's I own it. So, the decisions I had to make were tough. But I remember, after we did take layoffs, we had to. I remember going downstairs and I pulled the staff together that was there and I told them, I said, guys, I want you guys to know that we're about to get on a plane ride, right? And everybody who's on this plane are the people who are going to be on this plane. How much fuel we have in this plane is how much money we got in the bank. And it's our job and it's our duty to fly this plane as long as we can with the money that we have. And then it's going to be our job and our duty to come back down and pick those people up that we couldn't let get on this flight. And I just remember going down there and looking in those people's eyes, and in those eyes, you saw worry, you saw fear. And in my moment, and in that moment, I said, man, if I can get through this will be one of my greatest leadership tests. I'm successfully, we have gotten, obviously our country is still going through COVID and people are trying to get vaccinated, et cetera. But, from a company, I think that we have weathered the worst part of the, COVID wave. Now we're dealing with supply chain shortages, stuff like that. But it's different because I think we know that there's an end. We see an end at the end of the road. Whereas, there were some months there in COVID, hell, nobody knew. We didn't know what we didn't know.
Oh, definitely, man. Folks were floating. I experienced that. And, prayerfully, thankfully, I was a part of one of those companies that were considered and deemed essential. So I still had a job, but a lot of people weren't so, lucky, weren't so blessed to be in that spot. So no, pandemic came through and it changed the way I still don't know what a normal is. I still feel weird even just being out and about. That expo felt super odd. So it's different, bro. It's different.
And I tell you, when I got back, before I left out of there, I got a rapid test from the CVS. Then when I landed at home, I got another rapid, just because, I gotta.
Yeah.
All you can do.
Yeah, that's all you could do. That's all you could do. And the great part of this conversation is the fact that now, we talked about how you guys had to kind of downsize, when the pandemic first started, but it seems as though now you're planning for growth. Tell me about what your growth plan is looking like for the next 4 to 5 years.
Yeah. So, right now we are hiring. We are trying to hire as many people as we possibly can. So if you're in the Washington metropolitan DMV area and, or, people in the Washington metropolitan area that are, competent, want to grow and want to be a part of something very exciting, please reach out to me at K.Neal. We are looking to hire people right now today. Growth plans, I would sit here and be remiss if I didn't want to be $1 billion company very soon. That's where my eyes are set on. And we have all the people. I think we have the capital support to be that $1 billion company in the near future. So I want to grow this business 10 times. Some people might laugh at it, but I fully expect us to be $1 billion company by 2030.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, what's your idea about sales? You know what I mean? Like you're not just stumbling into getting $100 million a year in revenue. how are you, kind of like leading the way at your company when it comes to sales and going out?
I think it's process based. I think that if you can't track it and measure it, you can't grow it. So everything that we do internally, we track, we measure, and we grow it. If we're not tracking and we're not measuring it, there's no way that you can grow it because you don't know what works and what doesn't work. With sales and marketing, those are constantly moving things. If there's the two departments I am most involved with on a daily basis is our marketing department and our sales department. We're trying all different types of things. We're throwing things at the wall. We got interns in that, just graduated out of college programs. We got high schoolers. I don't take anything, any level of knowledge. I've only been out of school for 10 years, so my education is stale. Right. I graduated grad school and undergrad in 2012, graduate school in 2016. That's 5-10 years ago. Right. I'm stale. So I'm pulling in all type of people because I want juice. I want energy. I don't want to be at a table with people when I'm the smartest person at the table. If I'm the smartest person at the table, I can work from home. Right. I want to I want to collaborate. I'm trying to get people. I'm trying to get different people, whether, I'm trying to have different ethnicities. I got more women at the table than men at the table because I believe in it. Right. I am just doing everything I possibly can, and we're tracking it and we're growing it. A sales strategy is no different than my get up to go strategy. We are just incredibly disciplined, and we're going to outwork our customers. We're going to outwork our competitors. That's what it is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, look. All right. So I heard this recently from somebody that is in sales, and it stuck with me. It's saying that one who understands what their customer is going through and experiencing will do better than the person who is not empathetic and sympathetic. So, you gotta, it's basically saying the salesman, if you have sympathy and empathy, you'll do better at your job. Now, you, on the other hand, you have a history of, athletics, competition, winning. There's always a winner and a loser, so with your, background, do you believe there is also room for a win-win opportunity, a win-win relationship?
Yeah, I definitely believe there is. And the win is that my success as from a sales perspective is not me selling you one vehicle. My success is you growing your company from the sale of a vehicle from me. Right. So the win-win is you purchasing a vehicle and you going out, you working that vehicle and you being successful in your business and you coming back and being a repeat customer. Then you going out and telling somebody I started at K.Neal. That's the win-win for me. All in all. But at the end of the day, I do a lot of studying on human behavior. Because human behavior drives our actions and our intentions and then drives our emotional intelligence. So if you're able to understand human behavior, you're able to understand not only the motivators, but you're also able to understand the demotivators. You're able to understand the things that, make people want to buy, make people not want to buy. You're able to understand that this person should be working with that person, and that person should be that person. You're able to understand marketing. You're able to understand emotion. You're able to understand that if you can't touch somebody's heart and or somebody's mind, you cannot connect with them. So the human behavior, the study of human behavior is something that is not often talked about. But if you look at, Maya Angelou says the best, like people will forget what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. Like if you can leave a feeling impression of somebody, and it's just like dating somebody, you're just like, oh, like, man, this was amazing. Or like you take a bite of some food and it's just like, oh yeah. Right. Those are the type of things that we're talking about in our organization, trying to make it relevant because everybody has those experiences. Everybody has that experience of the first kiss, the first date, understanding those motivators. Hell, once you can touch the mind or the heart, you can buy anything.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And I think that was a great answer of, it's not necessarily, who wins on that first deal, on that first purchase. The win for your organization is for them to do the purest form of marketing, which is word of mouth, and tell them, hey, I got my start with K.Neal truck and bus center, and maybe it'll help you too. You know what I mean? So no, that's definitely the win. So I really love the way that you hit that one. And when it comes down to it, you did say something earlier too about everything in your company is kind of numbers driven. If you can't measure it, how can you really do something with it? So I wanted to ask this question: Who becomes your biggest client? Like, is it a government agency, or is it, who does K.Neal sell to the most?
Our business is really mixed. So we're about 30%, GSA, heavy duty federal government. We're about 30% local government, and then we're 30% private customer. So, one of the things I think that is important, in having a company of size, whether you're a company that does $1 million or $10 million, making sure you have a diverse customer base, because you don't want to be over invested in one customer base, i.e. if we were 100% government and next week there's a government shutdown because the Senate and the Congress can't get a bill passed, then my whole business stops, right? If you think about COVID, we're at 50, half of our business goes to school buses, the other half goes to trucks. Well, kids didn't go to school for 14 months. So if I was 100% school bus dealer, that means my total business model would have been at 0 point, where instead only 50% of my business model was at a 0 point. So, making sure that you have diversity in your customer base, and that might not be just diversity in, type of customer. It might be in geographical locations, right? If you're a national company, or hypothetically, if you're only in Louisiana right now, well, hell, Louisiana is experiencing incredible, downward and unfortunateness, with the flooding and the power being out in that state, right? So if all your businesses live in Louisiana, I mean, you're in a tough spot right now. So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, your customer base is diverse.
Yes, sir. I think that's a principle in business anywhere, is just making sure that, you are diversifying. I think that's the official term, diversifying your portfolio. So wherever your money is, whenever those different sources of income, you got to diversify where they're coming from. Okay. Yeah. All right. Appreciate you for answering that question.
Absolutely. So I got about 5 or 10 on my end. So I'm not sure if you want to go to Q&A, what you're thinking before we get out of here, man.
Well, let's see. Folks, let me go ahead and turn on the hand raising. Okay, open to everybody. If there were any questions that anybody wanted to ask, please go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll bring you up. And I guess I'll just go ahead and ask. I'll kick off the Q&A myself. All right, so brother, I'm looking for a full service lease. Do you guys offer those things there at K.Neal?
Yep. So we offer full service leases on new equipment. So everything from full service that comes with maintenance, as well as all your oil changes, your brake, loaner equipment, etc. I will tell you that right now, the supply chain on new vehicles is so far out right now. Mm-hmm. I would tell you that the majority of the dealerships that you're going to around the country will not be able to put you in a new vehicle at the earliest point. I would say is probably mid 2022. But more realistically, if you're a new customer, you're probably going to have to be in that, late 22, early 2023 timeframe, because that supply chain issue is real.
Yes, sir. I do agree there. And, a lot of people are looking for these box trucks, these semis. Are you thinking that you guys have a good amount of used vehicles on hand, or is that, also kind of like, on back order for you guys?
So right now, we are doing everything we can do to serve our customers. So essentially, what I have access to is a dealer network of those 2,100 dealers where I'm able to pull inventory. And I also constantly have trades coming in from vehicles that I've already sold, new vehicles. So essentially, it's a question of what do you need, how fast do you need it, and hey, this is what I got, this is when I have it coming. Because I may have a trade package of, let's say 15 units coming in because I'm putting in 15 units in a customer. Well, do you want one of these 15? How many of these 15 do we already have sold in the used market? So it's a question that, it warrants more individual and personal conversation.
Yes, sir. Okay. I completely respect that. Folks, I just want to say the hand raising is now open. So if you did have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask some more questions. All right. So, someone is going to get their very, very first commercial vehicle. They want to get a semi. What are some of those things that you feel as though have to be in their warranty package? Like what do they need to see there for you to feel comfortable allowing them to leave off the lot?
So I think the first thing is buying a warranty, right? I don't believe in buying anything without a warranty, and I truly believe that if I cannot afford the warranty at the time, I'm not ready to make the investment in the asset or goods. And that actual warranty, a couple things you want to make sure that it covers the engine and after treatment and technology. That's one thing that people don't really realize is the technology in these vehicles are so much far more advanced than they were probably 5 or 10 years ago. So those three things, engine, after treatment, and technology, are going to be the incredible things. Transmissions obviously is something that you want to throw in there as well. But those are the big 3 or 4 things that you want to make sure that you have in any warranty that is offered to you.
Oh, yes, sir. I think those are very good points. Thank you. And just me, because I'm a novice at this. I'm not even going to lie to you, brother. I'm not even going to lie to you. I've been through the process of buying a single car, no commercial vehicle so far. So this is something that I'm looking to do very, very soon. And, this is guiding me along that process. When it comes down to it, in that warranty, are there certain things that kind of state where somebody can get the service done? Like if they buy it in DC, but the issue happens when they're over the road in Texas, do they have to get pulled, all the way to DC? Is that type of verbiage and those specifics in that warranty? Like what should I look out for?
So typically the most common warranty plan out there is called NTP. It's pretty much widely accepted at any major dealer brand. So Freightliner, Volvo, Mag, International. So pretty much everywhere. NTP is very similar to like AAA on the car side, right? Whether you're in, California, Maryland, DC, Texas, Houston, Atlanta, you can call it AAA. So, I am a huge fan of the NTP product, and it's called National Truck Protection. We sell that warranty on all vehicles, whether you purchase the vehicle from us or not, whether you're in DC or not. So if that is something that you're interested in, we can definitely give you more information at that. And that's called NTP, National Truck Protection. And you can reach out to us at, KNEALTBC.com for that more information.
Hey, say that website one more time, because at the end of the day, y'all, I went to this brother's website and I legitimately was in, my eyes kind of teared up. It's that nice. This is legit. This is a legit operation. Like I'm so proud of y'all, man. Like this is legit. I mean, it's a very clean, crisp website, very, very professional. So please give that website one more time.
Absolutely. It's going to be KNEALTBC.com. That's T as in truck, B as in bus, C as in center.com.
Yeah, like legitimate. I'm not even joking. I was like, wow, we have people. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The crazy thing is like I was just on my marketing team like 2 days ago. Like, man, we need to do more with our website. Because I just, your website is your first impression, right?
Yes,
that's how it's your first impression. So, going back to that study of the human behavior, 90% of people make their decision off a purchase from their first impression. So, and that's relationships, first date, church, going to the mall, grocery store, 90% of the time that first impression is your last impression.
Yes, sir. I can agree with that. I mean, that is sharing the sentiments of another brother we had on stage, where he said, hey man, when you're doing those cold call emails and you're reaching out to these folks, you got to make sure that your public persona, your image is polished, because before they reply to your email, they're going to your LinkedIn page, they're going to your website, and they're doing all these things to build that perception of you. So Yeah, I agree 100%. You got to be sharp, and man, you guys are next level with it. So, I just wanted to say thank you for that, bro. Like,
All right.
you're showing us what to do, so thank you.
Man, I'm just leading the way, man. Leading the way.
Yes, sir. All right, look, folks in the audience, are there any questions? Because, like I said, or like he said, he has about 5 minutes left. And I definitely can ask all these questions, but I also want you guys to get some specific value. So you just let me know. But all right. So you're doing it at a level that most people don't even understand, can't comprehend. And, that's no shade to nobody else. But it seems like this $1 trillion infrastructure bill might have a little bit more meaning to what you have going on in your operation. Like, is that true? Like, are you guys currently making moves that are kind of like predicated on what's going on in this infrastructure bill?
Yeah, and to be completely honest, we've been working on a bill like this for probably a year, right? So when this time, I have people on my team that are essentially looking at this and trying to forecast out what's going to be available in the market for a year out. I hate to kind of say it like this, but if you're just trying to react off of the infrastructure bill now, the opportunities have already passed. It's just that there's just organizations and people are so readily prepared. Infrastructure is ready already. So for us, we started this process 6-8 months ago. When they first went into office, and when I say they, I mean president and vice president. When they started talking about, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this. That's why you got to read. That's why you have to be a continuous learner. That's why you have to listen, because you have to be intentional in what you're listening for, then make your actions, your business plans off of that.
Oh yeah, 100%, brother. 100%. You definitely got to be in a spot already. I get where you're coming from. So thank you so much for sharing that. In the meantime, we did have one of the other heavy hitters, that has joined this stage before. We have brother Tank Thomas. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for letting me ask my question. It was good seeing you the other day too, brother.
Yes, sir. Please proceed, man.
Hey, Korey, man. It was good meeting you at the She Trucking event, man. I think you guys have an awesome platform, and thank you for what you're doing for our community. My question is, do you guys send out email links on available equipment or upcoming equipment? Because we're always in the market to add more units. We just added about 8 more trucks about a month ago, and we're still looking for more equipment. It took me literally maybe 4 months to get those units. So, do you guys do any kind of email links out on your upcoming equipment?
Well, first, Tank, you're an OG in this, and it was a pleasure meeting you. Typically, we used to do like a monthly mail out. Not actual monthly mail out, but it was like an email blast that we did on a monthly basis. At this point, we are so sold out that it was doing us a disservice because we were just frustrating customers. The best thing that we want to do is if you just reach out to me and you tell me, hey, this is what I'm looking for. What I will do is when I come across the packages, I can just let you know, and it's just like, hey. I've got, like right now, I know I'm working on a 8-pack of, 13 liters right now for a guy, right? So it might take me a month, might take me 3 weeks, but now it's on our radar. Literally, we got like a big whiteboard in our sales office of units and customers next to it. So like anytime something's coming, it's literally like a war board in our sales office right now.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. Even with my trailer company, and they're massive. It's even hard to get trailers, so I understand what you guys are going through. That's why I was asking. But I definitely will. I think you or your partner has been in contact with my business partner.
Yep.
And, yep. So I just wanted to stay abreast of it and see what was going on because we are always looking to add more units. So.
Oh, absolutely. I'll double check. You're talking about Marcus. I'll double check with him just to see where they're progressing at, just so we can do it. Just so we can do a contact and a warm touch.
Absolutely. Thank you, bud. Thank you, Jerry.
No doubt at all. Well, look. I just want to say thank you, brother. You've given us all your time, all your energy, and it's more than I can ask for. I know that we are short on time, and I just want to say it's a blessing to have you come onto the stage and share your message and let us know that, folks can do it. People who look just like you can do these things. And you had this one quote that, when we had our call ahead of time that I thought was very impactful, at least to me. You said, if somebody has done it, you can do it. If no one has done it, you have to do it. I thought that was very, very, very powerful, brother. And I feel as though that's the way that you're leading your life. You're showing people that things are possible, and you're encouraging them to get to that next level. So I just want to say thank you again for joining us today.
Well, man, it humbles me to have the opportunity. And you, I just say thank you. You got a platform. You allow me to use your platform to do something greater. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody who's listening. At the end of the day, you guys could have been doing something more important. I hope I pricked something in somebody. I hope I inspired somebody to be a better version of themselves. Because at the end of the day, the better that we are as individuals, the better that we're going to be able to help our community. So I appreciate you guys. Please, check out our website again. That's at KNEALTBC.com. And then follow me on Instagram at K.Neal. That's K.Neal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look, so thank you, brother. Look, this is a personal thing. I just want to say shout out to my mommies. my mothers are in the stage. My mother, Sean, it's your first day on Clubhouse. And we got my mother, Fred. Thank you. You be supporting me. So thank you. Thank you. My bad. A little shameless plug. I just, I'm very grateful and I feel very supported. So thank you again, brother. Thomas, you already know what it is, man. Next week, y'all, we got something different. It is about mental health. I'm not an area expert, but I've been through some things. So I'm more than happy to talk about what I've gone through in the sense of rebuilding myself. And this brother, Justin Singh, he recently wrote a book about, his time as a driver and him transitioning to now being a 3PL professional. He goes by the 3PL guru. So we're going to spotlight that brother because he's definitely added a lot of value to these folks in this Transportation Logistics Clubhouse. So that's next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's our time tonight, and y'all have a blessed one. Thank you very much.